Hey there. So what are they saying now? That Cristiano Ronaldo is going to join Napoli in exchange for Osimhen for something like 140 million euros, with part of those wages being covered by United. So not only would Napoli get to sell an injury-prone striker and one who will remain injury-prone because of the way he plays, but they also get Ronaldo in exchange a ton of money and don't have to pay 75% of his salary. That sounds like a pretty good deal. If I'm Napoli, I'm going to be honest. I see a team that is growing, so maybe they should have kept. No, I'm not going to say they should have kept Osimhen. I think it is good business to get rid of him. I think that is the right move by De Laurentiis. And after Ronaldo is pretty much done there, probably after a year, after he scores his Champions League goals and breaks that record, they can really turn and get a player, a really, really great striker with that type of money, or two, or three. So you see Isaac today go over to Newcastle. That's a big one. I think he's going to be a really good striker for them. Probably one of the missing pieces. I forget his name, but I see the striker that's been playing for Newcastle. He's pretty good, but he's not at the tier that someone like Isaac will bring. So that's going to be an interesting space to watch Newcastle. Anyway, looking at the press conference today, we've got the Juve-Roma predicted lineups, as well as what's going on in the Europa League for Roma. And then we get onto the Mercato, what's going on with Vindelam, what's happening with Belotti. Will he take his medical today? Will he not? Should I believe the newspapers? Because I'm told every other day that Belotti is coming to Roma. And then I wake up every morning and it's still another thing. But we can check out the banner there down below. Or look at this. Wait for it. It's coming. Give me 1 second here. And boom, we have got an overlay. I've just got to move over. We're getting really 2022 at this point. So as you could see off the predicted, it's Perin, Sandro, Bremer, Rugani, Danilo with 4 at the back. Then McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot, straight across in a 3 with Kostic, Vlahovic, and Cuadrado. So I think the player that I'm most afraid of from the Juventus perspective is, or I should say from Roma's perspective actually, is Kostic, because I still think that he's unpredictable at this point. I don't think we truly know what we're going to get out of him. I don't think Allegri has figured out how to use him, and he's going to be one that's eager to impress with his new team. He's not a joke of a player. He was extremely good in Germany for Frankfurt, and he's got a lot of goals in his boots as well as assists, and that's something that Vlahovic has really needed. Vlahovic had only 9 touches last match against Sampdoria, so it's going to be time for him to step up big time. And what better than having a really great wingman and one that speaks the same native language as you do. On the other end of that, though, I see Cuadrado in an advanced space. Last year, he didn't really play like that. He played more of a wing-back role, and now we see him getting much, much further up the pitch. Of course, Perin is the second choice after Szczesny. Bonucci is still out, and it's going to be interesting. You see Rugani. Rugani has not been a starter for any team for quite a while now. So that's definitely a weakness in Juventus's armor. Looking at that midfield as well. If McKennie, I had Giuseppe, Gigius Juve on yesterday on a recorded stream, and we spoke about where McKennie is best, and he really benefits from having a freer role. Can Locatelli and Rabiot provide that for him? Locatelli is a faster player. I wouldn't call him speedy player, but McKennie is, and Rabiot not so much. So this isn't a quality midfield. I wouldn't say that. So Roma can hopefully take advantage of that. But in Roma's midfield as well, it's a mystery as to what's going to happen, I think, tomorrow with Matic, Pellegrini, and Cristante. Of course, being down Vindelam already is a big setback for Roma there in terms of quality. And as you look further up the pitch, Zaniolo is out. He'll be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Bummer. Does El Shaarawy step up there? I think he should. But now what I'm reading out of these predicted formations is that actually Pellegrini will take up the left wing spot and Matic will get the start. Can Matic start? Does he have that type of time in his legs? And now you see where injuries start to play a part, right? Because it's like Matic, he is better as somebody who provides 30, 35 minutes, who closes out a match, rather than somebody who can give you 75, 80. But maybe, just maybe, because of the pace of Serie A, he can hang in there for a full match. And I'm sure that he's going to be really pumped up and motivated to play against Juventus with his old boss, with Mourinho. So the two of them together. Let's see what happens there. These are just predicted. These are not official lineups. But with that being said, I think it's time to turn to the Mourinho press conference. So let's get that out of the way. So he refused to reveal which Roma player will step up if the Giallorossi are awarded a penalty kick against Juve. I think that's interesting there, because I think it has to be Pellegrini, right? But Roma missed one penalty kick in each of the last season's 2 games against Juve, and Mourinho still will not give a name. He said, "We don't have a penalty kick taker for the season. It depends on our analysis. But for tomorrow, we know who will take a penalty," he admitted. "I won't tell you because otherwise Perin and Szczesny will study for 20 hours. So now they're saying that Szczesny is expected to turn back and that Perin will not get the start. So some inconsistency there. But Felix Afenagian, I was going to say this until later, but of course the rumors seem to be true in that he's going to Cremonese. So you can count on that one. You can almost bank on that one at this point. So here he is saying that Matic will start against Juventus, meaning that Pellegrini will be forced up as that winger spot, which honestly he did really well at last season. He said, "Tomorrow we will play with the same lineup except for Matic, who will replace Zaniolo," meaning that Pellegrini slides up and Matic just slides into Pellegrini's role. "We have collected 6 points in 2 games, and it's a positive thing. Zaniolo and Wijnaldum are injured, and they are 2 important players for us. I can see..." What's up, guys? Just getting your comments now. Thank you. I'm going to post those up in 1 second. "I can see we play against Juve because in the previous press conferences, nobody was talking about the opponents," he continued. "It's a great game against a team that wants to win the title, but it's one of the 38 games. Playing a big team gives motivation, but it's also difficult. Every game is the same. The routine doesn't change. I've been to Turin many times, and tomorrow is one more." Then on to the subject of Dybala, who's going to be facing his former club. He said Mourinho gave some advice to Dybala on how to approach the game. And he said, "No, it depends on the players' characters. I don't know how Paulo Dybala will respond. He has a baby face, but he is not a baby. We can talk about how he could play, but he has control of his emotion. I haven't seen anything different these days. I expect a regular game, perhaps with a bit of emotion before and after. We haven't prepared the game differently. We did the same thing we had done before with the game against Cremonese. I expected a normal game. We've worked quite well and know what we want to achieve. It's a game between 2 great teams. The world of football continues to be wrong. People think that not conceding goals means having a defensive approach. It's not like that. Quality teams don't concede many goals." Then he goes into the Conference League. He says talking about the triumph in the Conference League. He said, "The Europa League, it's a difficult competition with teams that have incredible potential. Teams that must win, or it's a disaster. Those teams have the responsibility to win, and we'll go step by step." So I think one thing important to remember is Matic is 34 years old. That's the only thing I worry about him stepping back into that midfield. And I'm not sure if, God forbid, Cristante goes down, who steps up? I think at that point, then Pellegrini would step back instead of giving Bove that type of responsibility in such a big match. So let's check out some of the comments here. Ramez says, "Do you think Mourinho will attack, or will we be receiving the pressure and hitting the counter?" It's an interesting question because both teams kind of not like to sit back, but absorb pressure. I think there's a difference between those things. And I did see Roma come out of their shell or really move up the pitch in the second half against Cremonese, and they started to play significantly better, like night and day, I thought, compared to the first half. And they made a lot more opportunities, definitely taking in some of the pressing that Cremonese had done and using it to their advantage. So not just a counterattack with 2 or 3 players, but more like 5 or 6 getting into the opponent's half. And I think you can see 2 battles tomorrow. One where Roma sit back in the times where Juventus do want to get up. The one thing I'm a little afraid of is that there will be a gap between midfield and defense, because I imagine that Juventus are going to want to play long ball to Vlahovic, and Kostic might be the most utility of the attackers there. So I anticipate a little bit of a gulf there. So having somebody like Cristante back and playing a bit more defensive, I think will be of benefit to mitigate and to really make sure that there are no 1v1s with Vlahovic against Mancini or Ibanez or Smalling. So I don't want to see that. But will Roma attack? I think they will. I don't think it'll be 90 minutes, but I could see maybe 30 to 40 minutes where Roma do take the game to Juventus and want to impose their football, especially if they feel like Juventus is weak and unorganized. If you get the same Juventus that played against Sampdoria, then this Roma is going to really take it to them, I think. It's a much better side compared to that one. Now, of course, there's still question marks. Is it question marks or is it just grumblings? You know, when Roma's attacking players haven't scored yet, going on to 3 matches into the season, it's been Cristante and Chris Smalling, 2 defensive players. So I'm not worried. If you want to know the truth, I really am not at all. I've got another one here. Hey, Wayne, if you were the coach, which way would you play against Juve? And I think I just kind of went over that, where if Juventus are the same one we saw last weekend, then Roma can use their quality to overcome them for sure. So we've got predicted formations there. Along the back for Roma, I didn't hit them yet. You will see Spinazzola get the start over Zalewski. Zalewski, I believe, is still recovering from a bit of an ankle injury, and Roma will remain with 3 at the back, of course, until maybe there's another defender added. So Roma 3 at the back, 4 across, and then a 2-1 with Pellegrini sliding up. I think is more of a creator and the guy who adds that balance, with Dybala maybe playing a touch further up than what we saw against Cremonese, where Dybala was actually the deepest of the... What am I doing with my hands here? I'm trying to find the camera over the overlays. Forget it. With Dybala coming up back as the deepest of the 3 and looking to get the ball and playing up to Zaniolo or El Shaarawy, or even off to Abraham, who would touch it on with his head with a flick on. So interesting to see how Dybala lines up, given Pellegrini's more not defensive, but withdrawn attacking discipline there. Ramez says, if we do press, and as we have seen lately, we have a problem finishing, so Juve can punish us because that is what they want. So that problem with finishing, like I said, I'm not concerned about. I think Roma's attackers, once they get 1 goal, then it's the floodgates are going to open up. There's all the quality there. It's been margins, so I'm just not too concerned about it. So let's see what else we got going on here, people. I'm going to change my overlay for a second, and we're going to get to the Europa League. So I've got some information here heading towards the opponents. So the reigning Conference League champions, they got their automatic placement in the Europa League. Not that they needed it because of how Roma finished in last season's Serie A. So why is my iPad? There we go. Okay. So we've got Real Betis from Spain, who finished last year in 5th place in La Liga. Ludogorets won the Bulgarian First League, and Helsinki is a strong team that it's going to be hard to go out there. I'm not sure if they are north of the Arctic Circle like Bodo Glimt was, but we know how Roma plays based off that performance when they have to go all the way up north. One thing that's in particular interesting to me is that they play on artificial turf in Helsinki, and their captain spoke this morning about he gave some comments on what he thought about against the matchup with Roma, and he said, we're not just looking for an experience, we want to go through. Artificial turf is our advantage. It's totally different from normal grass. It's a crazy tough group. We were watching the draw with the guys, and then there were some happy faces in the group. We wanted to face a big club, and we got Roma. It was a wonderful surprise. And then he said, Roma and Betis are absolutely in a different category than us, but we can challenge Ludogorets when playing at home. We'll certainly find some ways to challenge the big 2 as well. It's unbelievable. If I'm in shape and get to play in Rome, it will be unforgettable. I can't wait. So, whatever. The objective there for Roma is to win and nothing else. Okay, cool. I think the part that a lot of people wait for here is we'll go to a transfer section. And who do you got there? Dybala with Belotti. A little reminiscent of their time at Palermo. And who brought them in? None other than Walter Sabatini. I think he's very much missed in Rome. Not saying that like anything against Pinto or anything. He's been great, but Sabatini is very much into the fabric of Roma's DNA for the past 10, 12 years at this point. And I miss him, but I hope he stopped smoking. So we get Belotti. Hopefully, Roma acquires him in a free deal. I forget, is he under contract? Someone want to help me out here? I feel like he has just a couple months. There's something odd about his contract, but I believe he's free without checking transfer market. But yeah, he's free. I don't even know why I'm talking about that. But the one thing which has prohibited him from joining has been the wages. So Roma is not a Newcastle that you can just go buy and spend frivolously like that. But getting Felix off the wage bill, getting that transfer in from Cremonese will be important and will help the accounting and finances be in line. As you may have read recently, there's been a call from UEFA for financial fair play, looking at a few different teams, and Roma apparently is one of them. So when it comes down to getting players out first and buying bad, as did Monchi did, and you give players who, not that Felix has a small salary, but when you give players who don't deserve big wages, then you get yourself stuck in a really big hole. And that's what Monchi did to Roma for a very long time. And it has taken something like 5 years for that to be repaired. But we see that Pinto is on the right track. Getting a transfer salary for Felix, most likely at this point. Getting rid of Florenzi, Kluivert at this point. Under, Paul Lopez, Olsen, all these guys who just absorbed so much salary. So it's really, really important that Roma gets back to straightening out their finances for sure. I'm very excited about Belotti. I think what he brings is a great skill set. Having that extra striker off the bench for when Abraham is either in a rut or exhausted, very long season, going to need players of quality who can fill in those gaps, who can even interchange. It's not just filling in the gaps, but also playing alongside. And that different look that you get when you're in need of a goal and it's late in the match. And who can you bring in? Well, another center forward, a guy who can get on the end, crowd the box, whip in the crosses, and you never know what you get away with. And that's just so valuable what Belotti can bring. In my lifetime, I can't remember when Roma they didn't have two quality center forwards. So it's a big jump. I wrote on Twitter, que squadra. Look at this team. It's very cool to see. He's hungry. He fights really hard. Sometimes that fighting really hard is overrated for center forwards. But I think with Belotti, he's a team player. He can play with his back to goal. He can get shots off that way. He can lay it off for his teammates. He works, and he's strong. No-brainer. Fantastic business by Pinto if he does get him in. But, guys, okay, let's get back to the real business. Putting it back up there. Check out that formation one more time for Juve-Roma and let me know what you think. Danilo. I see weaknesses all over that Juventus lineup, to be honest with you. With Roma's, I think they're going to have the motivation. I think that they are worked up off of last year, and they want to go and get the 3 points. I heard Mourinho say something like, they wrote it on AS Roma's Twitter, that if you told me that I could go and get a point and not have to travel, I wouldn't do it. Meaning that he wants to go and get the 3 points here. And that's what I love to hear from my manager. We got another question here. Do you think Mourinho would start with a 3-4-1-2 as Tammy and Belotti go up top and Pellegrini behind them? Maybe. A few times. I don't think that will be the norm, but I do think you could see it throughout the season. perhaps against teams which are going to sit back more often than not, where Roma can collapse, or if they're trying to play long ball and get it up and they can exchange between the two of them. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't excited to see that setup. So great question there. Guys, thanks a lot. This is at 12:30 tomorrow. I will be at Roma Club New York. I hope you're doing something special for it. Make yourself some food, sandwich, dinner, wherever time zone you're in. Let me know what you think. Give it a like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you after the match.